Hello, everybody. So thanks for inviting me for this presentation. So today I will speak about an enabler we developed and we published in open source end of last year. So sorry, I will not speak about AI. It's an AI-free speech. We spoke a lot of AI yesterday, but today I will speak about automations, and it will echo the questions mentioned in the previous meeting, in the previous sessions. In fact, I'm working in Orange Network, so we are deploying in different countries lots of solutions, network solutions to manage the mobile network, the fixed network, the interconnectivity, the home network, so lots of components from lots of vendors with lots of versions and lots of dependencies, and it was simply not possible to manage the increasing complexity as we were using. So we try to introduce what we call a factory and try to be closer from the upstream in order to mitigate the risk and to manage the complexity. So automations, of course, if you speak with your manager, say, okay, automation is the answer to manage the complexity, because if you are able to automate, you will fail, but you will be able to recover faster. So especially in our case where we have lots of cloud solutions on a mix of physical, virtual, cloudified, containerized solution, if you are not able to securely and safely automate your process, then you will just add mess to the existing mess. So we want to have something deterministic, which is a bit paradoxical, because the environment is now with a prod fully over provision. So we saw also that most of our vendors today, they decided to move to Kubernetes, including for the mobile core. If you see all the 5G mobile solutions, they're all based on Kubernetes. And our traditional vendors are not Kubernetes main contributors. If you go to the KubeCon, you will see lots of people on stage, but not necessarily all the traditional telco vendors. So the advantage is that as they are using Kubernetes, we are benefiting from all the full IT ecosystem. And if they select to use Kubernetes, we spend a lot of money, they spend a lot of money through GPP in order to standardize the mobile network. But using Kubernetes means that we have a de facto standard, which is a Kubernetes API. So it's a good way to re-intermediate ourselves at the Kubernetes level and to do our automation here and avoid having silos of automation solution provided by all the different vendors. So we used to do lots of imperative automation, so based on Jenkins, GitLab CI, Ansible, all this stuff. So it was nice, and it's still nice because sometimes we can not do in a different way. But we introduce since 2 years now intent-based automation, so I will come back on that. It means GitOps automation. You automate, but you will have a status of your automations. You don't just do imperative and fire and forget automation. So I will come back on that, but it's key in the enabler we published. It's really a secure GitOps engine. I will come back. So we spoke this morning about TMF, and part of the TMF, so there was a big plan, especially at our top management, to reach TMF level 4, which is the top level of automations in 2025. So I should admit that we will not reach this level in 2025, just simply because before we want to introduce AI and we want to introduce complex remediations, you need to be sure that you are able to automate properly. So really what I will present is a stupid enabler that just do automation. So it's not very sexy, but it does it very well. And if you want to start doing some complex things, you need to be sure that this low level is fully managed by your organization. So in GitOps we trust. So for people who are doing IT, it's not new. It's something that is already adopted by the industry in lots of companies. For the networking, it's a bit different. The telco industry is not necessarily always at the edge, you know. So we start adopting it, and GitOps is what is on one side, you put all your source of truth in Git. So you use Git intensively, you version everything. So every new things using semantic release, you use both like renovate in order to force to be always as close as possible from the upstream, and you put this source of truth in Git. And on the other side, you have Kubernetes, and Kubernetes in the middle, between Kubernetes and Git, you put a bot, an engine that will continuously look in the Git repository, check if there is any change, any drift in your source of truth, and as soon as a delta is detected, the GitOps engine will try to apply this change directly, so it will do the command for you, it will do the Kubernetes or the Helm command for you, and it will observe that what you ask is what it can observe on the target cluster. And it will be done continuously. So it's not fire and forget, it's not I ask for an upgrade and I hope everything will be fine. So you know with Ansible, if it's not fine, you can retry. It's supposed to redo. Here it will be automatically and continuously observed and retried if needed. So what we develop, it's an enabler, so I will not detail that, but it's a PaaS layer on top of Kubernetes. So we are leveraging a Kubernetes ecosystem. We do not install Kubernetes, we rely on our colleague from Sylva for that. But we develop a set of glue in order to bridge different CNCF components that allow us to provide a secure GitOps engine. So it can be used to automate workloads, so meaning the deployment of what we call cloud-native functions, so any kind of functions, and to automate also tests, to do some continuous tests in our system. The enabler is vendor agnostic, so as we are a re-intermediate at the Kubernetes level, we don't necessarily need all the abstractions that are sold, that are very expensive and very specific to each vendor. As each vendor has to comply with the Kubernetes API, we just reuse the same API and we use the IT tooling in order to be able to do the automations. So this enabler has been published in open source end of last year. It's directly in gitlab.com under the Orange open source group. So for the moment, we are not hosted neither by OW2 nor Sylva nor Linux Foundation. So we have a close connection with Sylva because the idea to publish this code was mainly to share with other actors, with other telco, this path in order to find if we can move forward. And if you attended the KubeCon, the last KubeCon, you can see that Deutsche Telekom or Swisscom, they have also started their GitOps journey. And the idea was really to have a place where we can exchange on our different technical options. So it's a bit strange because we are not necessarily looking for a big community. It's more to be fully transparent with the other telco and also with the vendor we are working with to show that, we can also, if you want to test our solution, it's open source, so you can use it and you can install it in your lab. So the architecture here, it's so the enabler is in the middle, is in the orange square. So that's mainly, as I said, a GitOps engine, nothing more, with additional components to secure it, because it's a multi-vendor and a multi-workload. So when we do an automations on a target cluster from Ericsson, we don't want that the resources of automation to be shared with other vendor, Nokia or ZTE, Huawei, whatever. So there is a huge work on segregations and isolations of the user. We are, as said, installing this on top of a Kubernetes, so we are using Sylva, but any Kubernetes is okay. And on the top, we are also a bit lazy and reusing lots of enablers that are provided by Orange. So we have an OpenID Connect, we have a S3 solution, we have a Vault, we have a GitLab that we host internally. So we reuse all these enablers and we put this GitOps engine close to the network solutions, and we are able to automate and to take the control of the different solutions, meaning that when you want to do an upgrade, you will change the descriptor on the Git side. Let's say you want to move to version 1 to version 2. Then the GitOps engine will detect this change and will try to apply. So of course you need to have also a registry and all this stuff around. But as it's, the more cloud native it is, the straightforward it will be. and we made some tests, and we made some operation, including in productions, and we were able to save a significantly lot of time, and we didn't need to stop, maybe not to stop, but at least to require professional services for 2 weeks. The last upgrade was done smoothly. It was really ISU, so Insight software upgrade in less than a couple of hours. So the solution, I said, what we published, so we did not publish all this. We are using all this. So, and we publish the manifest to deploy together the glue that glue all these components together on top of a Kubernetes solution. So it means the solution itself is deployed using the GitOps methodology. And today, when we change something in the main versions, all the solutions that are deployed in our affiliates are automatically upgraded. So it's very also smooth, so the upgrade process, so we force here the upgrade somehow. So there is some different strategy, and with SEMREL you can decide to follow only the one versions or the first digit, so it's up to you. But for the moment, our affiliates, we are following all the feature on patch changes, so as soon as the patch is merged, it's automatically delivered and upgraded. So it means that we are very close to the upstream, and regarding the CVE, which are very important, the question is to know if we have non-CVE. Of course, we have CVE, as everybody. It's software, but we are as good as we can be because we are close to the upstream community. So as soon as the patch is available in Prometheus, of course, we have some pipeline to check it, but if it's the pipelines are green, we can merge, and then it becomes the new versions. So using GitOps, we create several versions a day, which is also very unusual for a telecommunication application. Believe me, usually we freeze the network, and we prefer to have end of life software in our network, usually, just to be sure that we do not disturb the network, but here the approach is totally different. So the GitOps engine is based on a component called Flux CD, and so there are two main options for the GitOps engine, Flux CD or Argo, Fleet if you want also, but we evaluate both, and we use Flux CD. We also provide lots of best practice because the enabler is a good thing. So the team in charge of developing the enabler is not that big, but of course you never saw a hammer building a house. So the tool is interesting if it is adopted by people who are in charge of the workload. So deploying 5G signaling, deploying a CDN, deploying whatever. So that's why it needs to be adopted. And here I like this quote from Bill Gates. The first rule of any technology used in business is that automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. That's what we try to do. The second is that automation applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency. And that's really the risk. So the tool is, I would say, interesting, but if the process, if the existing process are not efficient, it will just go faster in the wall. So the interest is limited, but somehow it forces us to review also some of our processes. When we do this kind of automation, of course, we need to have API to dynamically change entries in DNS. We need to have enabler or Kubernetes operator to change, to get IPs that are available in the different IP domains. We need to be able to get valid certificate and not just self-signed certificates that you put everywhere. So it forces us to have better process, and it forces us somehow for the security process to be more accurate on security. So today, the team are using this enabler, and they start developing what we call intents, per domain, per functions. The difficulty is to get the agreement from our traditional vendor that can see this kind of way of doing as a threat for their business, so their professional services, and they were very used to come on site and spend months in order to install the things, to do all the tests. So here we say, okay, the first time it can take time, but with a full descriptor, upgrade are pretty quick. So we say we don't want to kill your business, but we would like to spend our money more on resiliency, on cloud nativeness, on on operator in order to manage the configurations. In networking, we have still lots of net configuration of switch, of router. So it's, for the moment, not fully cloud native in lots of ways. So we would like to pay for that rather than to pay for people to just try to have the connection to the machine and then try to execute the M command manually with lots of files with a prefix. So we'd like to have something more integrated. Okay, so of course we open source to share with our colleagues from the different telcos, with the different vendor as well. So we did, the open sourcing is mainly on the recipe, on the GitOps recipe to deploy together all these components on top of a Kubernetes. The idea is that we are less and less special, even if we are still special. We have regulation, strong regulation, a context that sometimes is a bit different. But we are more and more IT, and that's what we would like to do with this enabler. I already mentioned that other telco already start this journey, and if you look at the KubeCon, you will see more and more presentation around that. We were not late, and we started our journey 2 years ago, but we are still there, and we already experienced in production that we can save significantly the cost of the operations, thanks to that. And we reduce also significantly the human errors because the source of truth is in Git. And when you want to change something, we have a process with merge request, with review, with approval at different level. So it does not mean that we don't make any error anymore, of course. We still do. But at least we know who did the error, when we can revert and compare to what we used to have, which was very hard craft, I would say. People log directly in SSH on the machine, do the operations, forget to tell their colleague. If they are in vacation, nobody remember why we have this configuration. So I'm just exaggerating a little bit, but not so much. And here, just the last slide is just to say that we are not in any foundation for the moment, but as I said, we are discussing closely with Sylva. All our deployment within Orange, we deploy on top of Sylva, except for Orange France, which is a bit different from all the other affiliates in the group. But in Sylva, we initiate a working group of the GitOps end user, and the idea was to share with the other telco their pain, their concern, and especially the discussion with the vendor. As said, for example, we need to manage the net configuration. We need to manage the SBOM, for example. We need to manage all of this. We need also to structure the way we put our descriptor. I say that everything has to be described. When you have a full 5G core, it's lots of objects in Kubernetes, meaning that you need to describe all of them in a Git. Could be quite impressive, even if thanks to operator you have some abstraction, but at the end you need to create them. So we discuss with them what is the best solution, the best practices, and we try to identify the missing pieces of the puzzle, and try to convince also CNF vendors. So we already succeed in convincing some, but there's still some work to do in this area. Thank you.